honour and pleasure to welcome you all today, and thank you all for coming, in many cases a very, very long way, to the on the Nora Video NRF Big Show expedition. We've got two guests of honour. I'd like to acknowledge straight up two VIP guests. Michael Capel, Commissioner to the Americas from the Victorian State Government, and the Chairman of FREA, which I'm pleased to say myself and Philippa Kelly from the LFRA are members, Mr. Massimo Volpe, the Chairman of FREA, the Forum of International Retail Association Executives, and the CEO of Popeye. So thanks very much for coming and bringing a global flair. Without any further ado, folks, I think I'll hand you straight over to Michael to say a few words. So thanks very much for joining us, Michael. Over to you.
Thank you, Paul. You know, setting up a industry body is not an easy task, and you know, it's a little bit like being a retailer. Not everybody knows you, not everybody wants to come in the door. You got to get out there and hustle. It's market yourself. So what Paul has done with Nora has been a fabulous thing, and you know, it's a young organisation, but it's a young organisation that's doing really well and that understands really well exactly what Australian retail needs. So let me just quickly say thank you to Paul.
Thank you,
and perhaps a round of applause for all the work that Paul and his team do.
Yeah.
Video.
Actually, Kate and Simon, thank you.
Thank you. You can pay me later.
Here's the envelope.
I just want to kind of leave you with a couple of quick reflections on what, can you hear me out there? That's the music? On what we're seeing in the US market vis-a-vis retail and Australia. And one of the things that we're seeing in a really big way is US retailers are coming to Australia. Now you might say, well, so what? We know that, that's nothing new. We see retailers from the US and from Europe coming to Australia all the time. And that's true. But the difference is, the retailers that you see from America that are setting up in Australia are retailers that we spoke to in 2011 and 2012. And now they've just started their operations and they're setting up presences in Australia. The retailers that we're talking to now are the ones that you're going to see over the next couple of years setting up in Australia. For every one retailer that we spoke to from America in 2011 or 2012 that wanted to set up in Australia, we're now talking to 10. So whereas we might, you know, a few years ago we might speak to one retailer maybe once a month, now we're speaking to a US retailer every week who is looking to set up in Australia. Now they're not all going to set up, you know, some will, some won't. But I suppose the bottom line is that the pipeline, the amount that are coming into Australia is growing exponentially. And I think what we're going to see in the next few years is a lot more US retailers coming into the Australian market. And whereas the big wave that we've just seen, predominantly fashion and clothing retailers, have been supplanted now by a much broader cross-section of retailers. So we're seeing FMCG, we're talking to FMCG, we're talking to discounters, we're talking to homewares, hardware, furniture, a very wide gamut. And so I think this is going to be very much a feature of this market and the Australian market over the next few years. The other thing I just want to kind of mention to you briefly is the role of technology that we're seeing in retail. If the axiom of retail historically has been position, 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 the new axiom of retail in Australia, in America, is technology, 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 innovation, innovation, innovation. And the one question that retailers in America are obsessed with is not really so much anymore, where is the best location for my store? It's how do I stay ahead of the technology curve to ensure that I will survive. Now, retail in Australia is still, you know, quite a few years behind retail in America. certainly vis-a-vis technology. But what we're seeing is a lot of US tech companies that are actively looking at Australia and are looking at how they can enter that retail market, which for them is a very interesting market. I live in San Francisco in Silicon Valley, and some of the companies that we've recently seen that have kind of set up in Australia and that are looking to significantly impact the retail sector over the next few years are going to have a huge impact on retail and on your sector over the next few years. Square, who have just set up in Melbourne, are going to, as the mobile payment system starts to come online this year, is going to have a very significant impact on retail in the US, in Australia. You know, we see other things that are occurring in America which are likely to also start to kind of flow into the Australian market. We see Amazon's amazing logistics and distribution capacity. You know, not far from where I live, Amazon is testing drones, and they're using drones to deliver goods to households. And they've got a pilot program where they're doing that not far from where I live, which is quite an amazing thing. There's another technology which I wanted to mention to you, which is having a huge impact in West America at the moment, and particularly in Silicon Valley. And that is a company who's here today. Andrew Gold is the manager, is the CEO of the company. And I'm going to embarrass Andrew because I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but because I'm so technologically illiterate, I'm going to get it wrong. But I'm just going to tell you very quickly what it is. Andrew runs a company which is having a huge impact on retail in America. It's called RF Spot. And what RF Spot does is it has produced robots. It's developed robots that are a little, imagine if you can, R2-D2 from Star Wars. And R2-D2 goes up and down the aisles of your department store or your big box store or your Bunnings or your Myers, doesn't really matter, and it does a stock take as it goes, and it does a complete and accurate stock take. And it doesn't matter how many items are on the shelf behind, it uses RFID technology to pick all that up, and within an hour it can essentially do a stock take of an entire Bunnings store. That is having a huge impact on retail logistics, on inventory management and stock taking in the US, and it's something that is rolling out over the next few years in the US, and is I think the predictions are something like 80% of inventory management in the US in retail outlets over the next 5 years is going to be managed by this type of new technology. Anyway, Andrew's here, he can talk to you all about it. If you're interested, you can come and have a chat to him. Just before I finish, let me introduce to you Marianne Jones in green. Marianne runs our New York retail practice. We are the only government in Australia that maintains a retail practice in America. And Marianne Jones runs that. I'll give you some inside baseball. When a US retailer is looking to come to Australia, one of the first people they go to is Marianne Jones. And what they say to her is, who do you know in Australia that can help us? Who do you know in Australia that can maybe partner with us, enter into a JV, distribute for us? So Marianne has this huge list of US retailers that are looking to enter the Australian market. So if you're interested in partnering or finding opportunities, have a chat to Marianne because I think she's a huge source of information for Australian retailers. Guys, thank you very much. Fabulous job, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy the conference.
Terrific, well done. Thanks, Michael. And thanks for your words on setting up associations. You know, it's only been 3 years and it hasn't been easy, but I think a person who's got a way tougher job than me is managing 45 association executives. So Massimo, perhaps just with an international flavour, Remember, we also want to see Australians, and it's a big focus for Nora this year, seeing Australian retailers moving offshore, both consumer direct and physically. Thanks for coming tonight to our drinks. Lovely to see you.
I didn't prepare any speech.
That's the way we like it.
He promised me just to give me a glass of wine. I'm Italian, so easy.
I had him at hello.
He's right. I'm the chairman of FIRA. FIRA essentially is a division of NRF that run a group of international association of retailers. So basically what they do is to connect through their local associations all of these retailers from around the world. So we have members like Nora, we have members from all over the world that are basically the local associations. So we help them to keep them information, really to do kind of networking, understand them better what will be the present and the future. And the only reason why it's a tough job because you can imagine having at the same table Australians, Brazilians, Italians. So with the Americans and Germans that they don't really get that, they don't understand. But I mean, beside that, it's really fun. So if you need anything, I'm based here in New York, and my office is in DC in the NRF building. But if you need anything, you can reach out to me through Nora. I'm always happy to give you an help and to give you any information that you get from, I can say from all over the world. Thank you to the network. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. And folks, last but not least, before we cut that ceremonial ribbon, we don't have a ribbon or a scissor for that matter, but perhaps that honour is then over to Simon Skelzo, who I must say this, as a reminder, this is the Nora BDO expedition. Nora as a bootstrapped association couldn't do these things without commercial support, commercial partners. So Simon and Kate have done an absolutely brilliant job. So Simon, I'm going to hand over to you, head to the retail practice globally. A great job.
So look, thanks everyone for coming. I think Paul hit it on the head there. So this concept or this idea for the Australian retailers, I think it came up over a beer. Paul were talking.
Or four.
Yeah. We thought, wouldn't it be great if we could get all the Australian retailers together and bring them across to the NRF? And then that's the first time it's ever been done, right? So you are, I guess, version 1 of the Australian-based retailers who have come together on this tour, and we're really looking forward. I'm really grateful you were able to make it. Looking forward to what next year brings. I think it's probably fair to say that the Australian retailers are probably underrepresented here when you compare what the other countries are bringing to New York. So we're really looking forward to growing this and at the same time giving all you guys value, right? So you've seen our schedule. We're really excited by it. We've got a number of events on. So to give you a little bit of an update for tonight, there's a bit of travelling around for chasing drinks actually. So we're going to leave it up to everyone what they'd like to do. But at the conclusion of this, we can head across to the NRF and there are official welcome drinks there at the Marriott, and then we're coming back here at 8:30, and then there's another set of drinks, and I think there's finger food and pizzas and whatnot that go around here. So that for those that are happy to stay around here, please stay. For those that also like to go to the Marriott and then come back, that's fine. So just a couple of options, and I think that's really what our program has been throughout. It's very much an optimised out, providing value to you guys. But all of this wouldn't have been possible without our sponsors. So I did want to mention who our sponsors are. I didn't want to miss any, so I put it up on screen. So we've got Demandware, who from 10 a.m. tomorrow, we're at their booth. We've got quite a detailed day tomorrow with Demandware. Rest Super, who are sponsoring the Monday night event. So yeah, with Retail Global. That's a fantastic event, guys. We've got a panel there of a group of retailers. We've got a few more drinks on. So I think that's really, it's great to learn, and there's a lot to learn here at these conferences, but we've got to have a bit of fun too, right? IBM, Telstra, Tamando, IBM, MasterCard, Microsoft, True Rating, Power Retail, Online Retail, the Retail Doctor, and the NRA, the National Retail Australia Association. So we look with NFRA, of course. So we're really excited that everyone's here today and really part of it, and hopefully everyone's sort of transitioning into the New York time zone and weather. So thanks again, guys.
Terrific.